Now I'll be showing you how to make the mini flare dress. Your flare dress is a simple dress, that comes out at the waistline, and then with the cold shoulder sleeves, we'll be attaching the elastic band on the top of the flare of the sleeve. So now I'll go to the fabric to show you how it's done. This is the Kampala fabric, and I'm using just 2 yards for this project. So this is the front block. For those of you who get confused about the vertical measurements, that's having to add half to the vertical measurements, so I decided to do it this way. You just mark ½ inch at the beginning of your fabric. You mark ½ inch and you begin your vertical measurements from there. So the shoulder to bust is 9 inches for this person, shoulder to waist is 16, shoulder to hip is 22, or you can do waist to hip 6 inches. Okay, and then to the hem line, the length is 38 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, that's 40. Now circumference measurement, you divide your shoulder by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so I'm marking 7. The bust, for my armhole, the armhole is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8, so you mark 8 inches here. So on this point, you're going to put your shoulder measurement also, so you can get a straight line, like a right angle triangle, something, right angle. So at that point, you put your curve, the French curve, to just mark your armhole there, to just get the armhole curve there. We'll come back to this. Now the bust circumference is 33. 33 divided by 4 is 8.25. That's 8 1/4. You mark 8 1/4 plus 2 inches is like that. On the waist is 31. 31 divided by 4 is 7 3/4. That's 7.75. Then you add 2 inches is. So from this point, we're going to go directly to the hem line. So on the hem line, you use the hip circumference. That's 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. Then you're going to add 4 inches is. 4 inches, because it's going to meet it here. So we don't want it looking so flare. It's just a simple flare. So you connect with your ruler. Connect from the hem line to the waistline like this, and then you connect from the waist to the bust. You take it off like that. Now this is the front block. So in order to eliminate the bulk at the shoulder region, you just get the half of your armhole, that is 4 inches, and then you mark ½ inch into the shoulder, ½ inch inside, not outside, ½ inch inside. So you're going to use your French curve to connect, see, the top of the shoulder into that ½ inch extension here, so that there will be no bulge here, and then you also connect that to the remaining curve. So for the front block, this is what we're going to have. For the back block, we're going to remain at the initial measurement, but for the front block, you curve in at ½ inch like that. So I'm going to cut for the front and the back and show you how to slant your shoulder. Okay, so now you can see that I've slashed in, I've curved in for the front, and the back remains the same. So for the neck width, now because there's no zipper in this dress, so the neck width has to be wider. So if you use 6 inches on a normal day, you can use 8 inches here. So 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. And then the length of my neck, let's use 4 also. 4. For the back block, let's use 2 inches for the length. I don't want the back to be as low as the front, like that. So you're going to curve. So you're going to curve at 2 inches here, and you also get the curve for 4 inches. You can use your French curve to get the point, or if you're good at, freehand, you can just do that. And then at the shoulder point there, you're going to mark 1 inch for the slant, shoulder slant. So you mark to the width of the neck, you're going to slash your shoulder. So you first cut out the one for the back block, like this, and you slash your shoulder. Okay, now you take the front block separately and you also cut out. So that's basically that for your block. So you can see that I looked at the pattern of this dress before cutting. Always take note of the pattern of your fabric before cutting. So I'll show you how to cut the sleeves now. So for your cold shoulder sleeves, you first measure round your shoulders like this. You get the measurement. For this person, I'll use 40. Then you also measure your over bust circumference. Over bust, I'll use 36 here for the over bust. So you're going to get the difference between 40 and 36. That is 4. Okay. So for the cap of this person, let's go to the fabric. For the cap, we have 4 inches for the top of that's the cap of the sleeve. That's this point. But because I want to smoke it with elastic, so I'm going to be adding about 10 inches to the 4. So that gives me 14. So now because my fabric is going to be cut on fold, so you divide 14 by 2, that gives me 7 here. So now the length of the opening, we just want to use 3.5. That's 3.5. Okay. If you want it really open, you can come down to 5 inches, but this is for a small person, so I think 3.5 is just okay. So you take the front block, you take your front block, you put it at the beginning of the fabric for the sleeve, like this, and then you let it meet the 7 inches here. That's the extension for the elastic, like that. So you're going to be marking the armhole here. You mark your armhole point here. That's it. And then the length of the sleeve for this person is 7 inches. So remember, you begin your measurement from the top. So we're cutting off the 3.5, and then we come down to 7 inches. 7 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, because we'll be folding the edge here. 2 inches, like this. So you can just do, and then we'll cut this out. This is all we need for our sleeve. So now to cut our pocket, you fold your fabric into 2, like this, and then you place your hand on the fabric, and so you'll be drawing this shape out. That's on the free hand. You just draw out the shape. So the opening of your pocket should be about 7 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance. So we'll be fixing this on the side of the mini dress. So this is my pocket. You can see it's the shape of the hand, and then you're going to be attaching it to the waistline. So this comes, so when we're sewing, you see how it's done. Now I'll be showing you how to sew your mini flare dress. So now I'll be using the bias strip in doing my finishing, because this dress will not have a lining. Remember, it has a cold shoulder also. So you join the shoulders together. We'll join the shoulders together by 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to be slitting the back by 3 inches, so it will enable the owner of the dress to wear it properly from the head, especially when you make braids or big full hair. So you need to be able to wear it conveniently because it has no zipper. So I'll be slitting the back with about 3 inches, and then I'll show you how to finish the opening and also the neckline with the bias strip. Okay, so now I've joined the shoulders together. So you open up your bias strip like this. There's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and another 1/4 inch here. So you sew on the 1/4 inch. I've slitted the back, so you're going to be sewing like this. I left 1/2 inch before the back there, so you'll be sewing round the neckline, the 1/4 inch. So we've sewn the bias strip to the Kampala fabric. So now you turn the edge like this. Okay, you first fold. Now I want to top stitch on the wrong side, just round the neckline. So you fold it in there like this, and then you'll be folding all the way around, and then you top stitch this place to the main fabric. So that's the result. So now you're going to turn the slit at the back of the neckline. We'll do the same process. You place your bias strip against the slit, leave 1/2 inch on top, then you cross, you just bend the 1/2 inch over like this, and you notice that I've notched the end of the slit. That way your bias can go round conveniently without having to crease at the back. So you just notch tiny at the end of the slit, and then you sew round it. So that's done. You then fold in your bias strip like this, and then you top stitch round the back slit, fold in and top stitch. So now I've turned the slit for the back. So I want to make a loop for the button that will hold the slits together at the back. So what do? Instead of using the bias strip, I want to cut this fabric on bias. To cut on bias means to cut the diagonal of a fabric. The diagonal, you're not cutting straight, you're cutting in a diagonal form. I will tell you why. This is to ensure that your fabric will stretch across any bend. Okay, so you can use it to turn the neckline of any dress too when you cut your fabric on bias. But if you're cutting your fabric straight like this, you can see it's not stretching at all. So when you use it to turn a bend or a curve, it's going to have some folds or gathers. So that's why we say it's better to cut your fabric on bias so that it can stretch. So this also serves the same purpose as the industrial bias strip. So this is what I'll be folding. I just need about 4 inches of it, 4 inches. So I'll be folding it this way and that way, and then at the middle. So I'll top stitch here. Let me show you that again. You fold in at the left hand side, you fold in at the right hand side, so the two edges will meet at the middle, and then you just fold on top of each other like that. So I'm going to top stitch on the opening down. So once that is done, you fold the loop like this. This is a loop, and then you put it under one end of the opening, and so you'll be top stitching on the line, on the previous line. You just top stitch down, and then you fix your button here. So now we're going to take the sleeves like this. Remember, we're using the elastic band to smoke the edge, to smoke the top. So you'll be folding in just about 3/4 inch, 3/4, that's 1/2 and 1/4. Just fold it in, and then you'll be turning in about 1/4 inch at the edge here. So you sew that straight down to the other end, and then the sleeve circumference we're going to also fold by 1 inch, and then we'll top stitch by 1/4. So I'll do that for the two sleeves and show you how to attach the elastic band. So the width of this elastic area is 14 inches. So you divide 14 by 2, that's 7, and then you add 2 inches to make it 9. So you just measure 9 inches for your elastic, but if you want it tighter, you can use 7 inches exactly. So now you get a safety pin, you insert it into the top of the elastic band, and then you push it into the hole, okay, like this. And then mind you, be watching the end, make sure the end doesn't enter into the fabric. So once you get to the tip, you hold that place down, and then you pin it with your office pin like this, and then you continue pushing in the elastic like this. So this is the sleeve. So you can remove your office pin, sorry, your safety pin, and then you sew the elastic band to the edge of the fabric to secure it so it doesn't come off at any point. So I'm done with this. So you align this part. So you align it like I said, and then you mark the top where it ends with your tailor's chalk. You align the armhole together, you mark the top, and you also align this part, you mark the top. So the distance between here and here is 4 inches now. So now you notch the parts you've aligned together, you notch just a tiny one, and then you turn that opening with your bias strip. You will turn it with your bias strip so that this part will go in, and then this is what we're going to sew to the extra allowance into the armhole. So we're going to be turning the notched part with the bias strip before sewing in our cold shoulder sleeve. So I've sewn that, and I left ½ inch at the top to be able to finish, this opening. So you're going to fold in that ½ inch like this and like this. So this is the one we'll be sewing the sleeve into. So I'm going to be sewing this to the dress. Top stitch it. We've attached the sleeve to it. Now you discover that the elastic might become too wide, so the sleeve is not smoked enough. So I had to reduce this by 2 inches. I cut off the elastic by 2 inches to make it a bit firmer on the sleeve. So now I'll be showing you how to fix your invisible pockets before joining your side seam. So from the shoulder, you measure the waist length, shoulder to waist, you mark it there, and then you take the first part of your pockets, one pocket for each side. Now remember the way your hand is placed, like this. So it's that shape of the pocket that you attach to this side. Be careful, sometimes you can want to miss it, but first place your hand to get the shape you have cut out, and then you'll be placing it against this point. That's right side facing right side. So I'm just going to attach it with ½ inch. I'll sew ½ inch to the fabric. So I'm sewing to it. You can see the shape like this on the fabric. We've sewn the pockets there. So now you're going to place your right side front block and back block together. You align them together, and then you just mark 1 inch allowance like this, and then when you get into the pocket, you mark ½ inch into the pocket, and then you come out again by 1 inch, and then you go down to the hem line of the dress. So we're going to be sewing that on both sides. Then when you're done with that, you just fold in 1.5 inches at the hem line, and you top stitch round. So that's our cold shoulder dress with the mini flag dress with the cold shoulder sleeve. Thanks for watching. You can see the pocket. The pocket is by the side.